Howdy! Now, to my European viewers out there, I know. How does a country that serves pizza donuts, celebrates 7-Eleven National Slurpee Day, and eats through the entirety of Red Lobster's endless shrimp stocks to the point of their financial ruin experience hunger? Well, with the help of this decadent triple-decker cheeseburger, today I will explain how the country with the largest waist size per capita in the world still has people who haven't claimed their God-given right to a pair of XL denim jeans. To begin, let's briefly cover what it means to be food insecure and hungry. According to the FAO, that's the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for you acronym lovers out there, hunger, also referred to as undernourishment, is suffering physical discomfort caused by a severe lack of dietary energy, while food insecurity is lacking regular access to enough safe and nutritious food for normal growth and development and an active and healthy life. This may be due to an unavailability of food and or lack of resources to obtain food. Essentially, once food insecurity becomes severe enough, you are officially going hungry. On a global scale, somewhere between 713 to 757 million people may have faced hunger in 2023, or 1 out of 11 people in the world. Looking at those who are moderately or severely food insecure, that number shoots up to 2.33 billion people, 28.9% of the world's population. Additionally, 35.5% of people could not afford a healthy diet in 2022. This comes on the heels of a price increase of 11% for healthy diets between 2021 and 2022, compared to 2020 and 2021. When we consider a wide variety of factors, globally we're currently off track to reach the UN's goal of a world free from hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition in all its forms by 2030. But that's worldwide statistics. We're talking about America right now. I need to talk about American exceptionalism here. This may be obvious, but the US is a pretty humongous nation. As of the time of posting this video, we are currently sitting at 331,449,281 people. If we lowball it and say that the average person needs about 2,000 calories a day, then that means we're going to have to figure out how to dish out about 662,898,562,000 calories on a daily basis. So what better way to do so than with a cheeseburger? Surely that'll meet the nutritional and caloric needs of the nation, right? Let's take a look at the most common stereotype of the American specimen. We are fat.
I say we, but y'all haven't given me citizenship yet, so really it's not me, it's you. No, I'm turning into American.
Data from 2017 and 2020 framed the US population in the following numbers. Among children and adolescents between the ages of 2 to 19, the prevalence of obesity was 19.7%. And among adults aged 20 and over, it was 41.9%. As of 2021, 97.6 million people over the age of 18 have prediabetes. That's 38% of the US adult population. No wonder I hear little Debbie get called little diabetes down here. On a state-by-state basis, at least 22 had a prevalence of obesity between 30 to 35%. Alright, America. Time to see how the New Year's resolutions went from year to year. Okay, this is not bad. I'm sure it's only going to get better from here. A lot of yellow and orange, but that's okay. I'm sure we're turning it around. Okay, it's fine. I'm sure 2023 was better. Looking at those numbers, I'm sure you're thinking, food insecurity? I think y'all could go with eating less if you ask me. Fair point. And it's one used by certain individuals to justify cutting funding from supplemental food programs in the US. But let's harken back to the definition of food insecurity. If I were to suspend my sense of disbelief and agree that it's not possible to go hungry in America, there's no denying that not everybody has enough access to nutritious food for a healthy lifestyle. Mom said there's plenty of food to eat at home. Let's see what we got. Lined to protect flavor. Meeting your calorie numbers on a day-to-day means little if all you can afford is ultra-processed foodstuffs from your local grocer. What's the difference between luncheon meat and lunch loaf? Now, let me break it down for you. Now, for both men and women, the prevalence of diagnosed diabetes was highest amongst the following populations. As for the prevalence of obesity, it looks like this. But let's get credit where credit is due and acknowledge that the fittest group of all goes to our Asians, who are only bursting out of their genes 16.1% of the time. I guess all that dancing helps with burning off the mukbang calories. As of 2023, 18 million households, which account for about 47.4 million people, were classified as food insecure. That's 14.3% of the US civilian non-institutionalized population. But if you're lucky enough to land yourself in a US jail, you'll get treated to 3 square meals of white bread and boiled eggs a day. Entitled bastards. This number's actually higher from 2021, when we were learning how to turn our stoves on during the peaks of the pandemic. This increase seems to correlate with the expiration of certain food assistance programs that were active during the COVID era, as well as some states' insistence to neglect further funding for them.
Gosh darn it, John Oliver. Why did you have to make this video before me?
Food insecurity typically has a more severe impact on minority populations as well as those who live in rural areas. As of 2023, the national prevalence of food insecurity is 13.5%. If this is subdivided into Black and Hispanic households, you'll actually find that the rate of food insecurity rises above the national average. The same could also be said if we look at the geographic data between urban and rural areas. If for whatever reason you really wanted to play on the US server on the highest difficulty, be the only head of the household, female with children, black, and have an income below 100% of the poverty line. These numbers seem to correlate with the prevalence of diabetes and obesity in America, and goes to show that food insecurity isn't just about not getting enough to eat. It's also about making sure what people are eating is good for them. And then there's income's impact on obesity, diabetes, and food insecurity. Households with reported incomes below 185% of the poverty threshold comprise most food insecure households, 50.8%. If we use education as a proxy for income, the prevalence of diabetes increases the less education you possess. Finally, the prevalence of obesity amongst children and adolescents between 2 to 19 years of age was as low as 11.5% for those who had family income of more than 350% the federal poverty level, but as high as 25.8% for those with family income at or below 130% FPL. While the difference isn't as stark amongst adults, it's still present. Interestingly, it seems that most racial and ethnic minorities live closer to a food store than white residents, which is a reflection of population concentrations within urban and rural areas. Minorities tend to live in denser populations, therefore they're more likely to live closer to a food store. Geography also partially explains why fewer individuals with low income tend to live further away from food stores than those with higher income. Ironically, this might mean that one of the constituencies that might suffer the greatest impact from food deserts are those from conservative states that forgo food assistance programs for their poorer rural communities. It's important to highlight that hunger does not discriminate. It's possible that low access areas tend to be low income areas, but not all low income areas tend to be low access areas. And once again, being near food source does not necessarily equate to having the income to buy nutritiously dense food. When it comes to food access, the economic, physical, and socio-cultural environment all play a role in what people are able to eat. Once the COVID pandemic ended, we experienced an inflationary period that most notably impacted food prices. For example, if we take a look at the prices of cow titty milk between August 2020 and August 2024, we'll see that the price increased from $3.41 to $4.04. Similarly, other products like eggs, white bread, ground beef, and American cheese all saw price increases during that same time frame. Even if the proximity of healthy food is not necessarily an issue for certain individuals, the means in which to pay for it does act as a barrier for households to combat food insecurity, especially if they don't see their income be adjusted to new inflationary realities. This is usually where supplemental food programs like SNAP and WIC come in to make up the gap. A common misconception in America, however, is that those who utilize these programs are somehow lazy freeloaders. In reality, millions of workers utilize these programs every year. In 2022 alone, 15.7 million workers, or about 10% of all workers, are in households where somebody participated in SNAP in the last year. 86% of households with working age adults that did not receive disability benefits and received SNAP benefits in 2021 had earnings during the year. For those that may say that remaining 14% is too large of a number to be allowed to mooch off of government subsidies, they fail to consider the reasons why this may be the case. Working age does not equate to able to work.
Dang, I made it. I should have gotten a new bottle for this. Hold on. Subway tap.
You may be unable to get a job due to caregiving responsibilities, or may suffer from an injury or health condition that renders you incapable of keeping a job. Moreover, more than 2/3 of active SNAP participants are not expected to work, primarily because they are children, older adults, or disabled people.
Almost forgot the mayo. It's Kewpie mayo.
This leaves a situation where a snapshot of SNAP participation at any given time actually undercounts how many people are actively working at that time. If we break down working SNAP participants, we see that 70% of them are concentrated in 5 major industries: education and health services, wholesale and retail trade, leisure and hospitality, professional and business services, and manufacturing. Many of these jobs offer low pay and few benefits, only compounding on the issues of food insecurity at home. And these food programs do matter. In 2023, an estimated 51.9% of households that received SNAP benefits were food insecure, as well as 43.7% of those that received free and reduced lunch, and 37% of those that received WIC. Overall, about 42% of food insecure households participated in SNAP in a given month. This number does not account for people who are jumping on and off of SNAP on any given month due to the shifts in their income. The actual number of unique participants in a whole year is likely higher. Often, people not utilizing these services may be barred from them because they make just a bit too much to qualify, even though they may still be in dire need for additional resources. Participation may also be impacted by stigma. It's important to acknowledge that food insecurity doesn't just look like starvation, though a not insignificant number of people in the US do reach this point. If we are unable to feed some of our most vulnerable populations the nutritious food that they need to lead healthy lives, we are shooting ourselves in the foot as a nation. The negative repercussions of food insecurity ripples through different sectors in the US, especially healthcare. Increases in diabetes and obesity likely lead to a larger chunk of families' income being set aside in order to address health issues and purchase life-sustaining drugs like insulin and cholesterol medication, leaving less cash on hand to pay for other essentials. And seeing that heart disease is the leading killer in the US, it is imperative that we do what we can to help people get access to nutritious food that will sustain them long into the future. That means increasing access to food supplementation programs and ensuring that the food people can get is both affordable and good for them. And while I took a US-centric approach today, as I mentioned in the beginning, food insecurity and hunger looms large as an issue around the globe.
All this talking's making me hungry. Tastes like freedom. Thanks for watching.